So when we're talking about extreme thicknesses, there's extremely thick level ice. This is ice that hasn't been deformed and piled up into sort of big mountains or ridges of ice. And their extremely thick ice of that kind would be nowadays 4 to 5 meters thick, and we don't really see that so much anymore. One consolidated solid sheet of ice. And that would be a significant obstacle to an icebreaker or a hazard for a fixed structure, like a drill platform or some other structure. The other way that you can get ice thick is to pile it on top of itself. And so you dynamically thicken the ice. And this creates pressure ridges that stick up above the water and they stick down much deeper below the water. And we see pressure ridges that can be 20, 30 meters thick. And if they're in shallow enough water, then they can actually become grounded on the seafloor and they can gouge the seafloor. And so we've been trying to take measurements over places where we know that they impact the seafloor. Once a ridge becomes grounded, it acts like a traffic jam, and more ice can keep piling on, and these things can end up getting very, very thick. One extreme case of this is in a region northwest of Barrow called Hannah Shoal. It's a very biologically productive area. If you go there in summertime, there's likely to be a lot of walrus hanging out in that region because it's a place where ice lingers late in the season. And one reason is because it's very shallow in that region. During the wintertime, these large pieces of ice get grounded, even more ice piles on, and these features become even bigger. They stay there throughout the summer because they can't drift away because they're sitting on the seafloor. So they're very important for walrus as a haul out. But once they do break up from the seafloor, once they do sort of melt sufficiently to where they can uplift, well, then they potentially become a marine hazard. So the ice that caused Shell to stop drilling after they'd only been drilling for one day in 2012, that ice likely came from the Hannah Shoal region. As a result, there were probably parts of that ice that were very, very thick, that have been sort of thickened by this dynamic ridging process. And so Hannah Shoal is outside the range of a helicopter from Barrow, so we've only been able to get 1 year of data over Hannah Shoal when we had this fixed-wing aircraft with a longer range. But there's other features closer to shore that are like mini Hannah Shoals where we can look at this process, and we've been trying to measure ice thickness in those regions as well. One, to improve our ability of how to measure ice that thick, because that's not a trivial matter either. And two, so that we can look at how they form, how often they form, and how thick they get.